What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Oh my god. Is it already number 13? Can you believe it?
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
Number 13? We've gone through 7 players so far. All of your favorite names. I'm sure you've already felt some snubs. This is going to be one crazy one for sure. This player that I'm about to talk about is very special, okay? That just like the rest of them, though. All the top 20. If you're in the top 20, you special. You know what I mean? Even if Valve didn't give you stickers. This player did not get stickers, okay? So that's a little cute clue for you. This is a player that many consider elite. This is a player who he's one of the guys that pros called for his head when he was coming up. They wanted him banned, specifically JW. Shout out to J-Dubs. He took it all back. He apologized, but he called for this player's head. Here's a guy who is locking it down for Estonia. A super solid standout rifler. If you haven't guessed it yet, it's your boy Rops, okay? Robin Cool. Now I know what you're thinking. This is the lowest. This is probably the lowest possible rank for Rops in the top 20, considering the type of player he is. And it's definitely not like he had a bad year whatsoever. This was one where his team's results weighed so heavily, I think, on the outcome of this year for him as an individual that it couldn't be ignored. And it's not because of him, it's because of how competitive the rest of the players are. You know, it's just the amount of players in front of him and all the and that's basically it. But this was an absolutely atrocious year for Mouse Sports. Very unfun, I would say, overall. Their best result this year was getting first at Flashpoint, taking out the brand new NIP with Device, and not losing a single series, I think, if I'm not. Yeah, I forgot this. Just winning through the upper bracket with their new IGL Dexter. They had the Challenger stage, which they had to get 9 maps to get out. And that was, they won the first best of 3, lost 2, and then won their next 2 best of 3s or something like that. Best of 1. They won 1. Then they had to go 3-2 here. They didn't even play super solid teams overall. And again, none of this has to do with how Rops played, but there's just not a single run here. You know, in a LAN, at a big event in general, that was, you know, very shallow. Okay, basically last place in every single thing that they attended. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's a shame, but yeah, I think this is the lowest we'll ever see Rops. I think the only kind of damning individual stat falls off a little bit here versus tier 1 or top 5 opponents in the few matches that they were able to play. And yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, we know he's like an elite level player. We know he's not, you know, he's a quality cerebral player. You know, he's awareness 100. He's the guy who is going to be. I just think all I'm thinking about when I talk about Rops here is next year. You know, next year. The rumor is he goes to FaZe. If he goes to FaZe, that'll be a significantly better team. That will be better on LAN. That all this stuff. The only shame will be leaving Frozen, of course, who is actually somebody else who weighed heavily on my mind in this top 20. Overall, but he was somebody who also I feel like was just taken down a peg because of his roster. Unfortunately, it's weird for me, man, because I really thought this composition was going to work out, and I had high hopes for Dexter, and I still do as an IGL, but it is kind of his first year calling consistently through like a lot of tier 1 matches where he was doing well in Australia. So it's fine that he is still kind of getting better as an IGL, but yeah, definitely the team is not very impressive, and they have good pieces. I think A-Core is a problem. I think BMAS is fine and getting better, maybe a bit inconsistent. Rops and Frozen are the ones that are just, you know, they're in the prime of their careers, and they can take down anybody, really. I think they're both really kind of best in class in my opinion. But yeah, you know what the deal is, man. We're Ropsicalites here. Gonna watch a game where Rops is farming on Vertigo, so we can go back and watch Vertigo again. Number 13. Hope you enjoy it. Let's hop in. You know what the deal is. We're here to watch Rops. My favorite part about the man is the head. No, it's not the headshots. 1920 by 1080. Look how crispy this is. Beautiful 27-inch monitor. I'm so happy to be home, to be watching games on my beautiful 27-inch monitor right beside my 27-inch monitor with OBS. I can make sure it's recording at all times. And then I have a 32-inch monitor up there as well. I put other stuff. Icons and web browser. It's so nice, man. I just put everything up. I feel so good to watch Rops, a native player. Not Indian, not feathers. You know what I mean? Native, not Curry Indian, not feathers Indian. Native, 1920 by 1080 native Indian. Okay? We stand Rops. Because he's got the spicy one-tap curry joke. Yes, he's on point. Very small crosshair, very careful. You know what the deal is. Okay, we decided to watch a game. It's pretty... This game from the PGL Stockholm Challenger stage, where he played against Renegades on Vertigo. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of Maus this year, and you know why? Because they didn't win anything. They didn't win anything, dude. Their best result, technically their highest placing would have been 5th through 8th at the Challenger stage of the Major. Because they won their first game, then lost 2 best-of-1s, and then won their subsequent best-of-3s to qualify through. They came through 3-2, just barely scraping by. I mean, their best result this year was winning Flashpoint Online without dropping a series and beating a newly established NIP. Is this Rops' fault? No, it's not Rops' fault. He had a solid year on record, and statistically it was better than even any of his previous years, but the thing was, this year he played like so few maps in comparison because Maus as a whole were not doing so well. And I know I want to get this conversation out of the way because people have been talking about Maus sports all year round. And when this team was formed, I was, first of all, with Dexter coming over, I was a guy who I watched Dexter demos. Dexter demos. Love Dexter as well. And I actually messaged a couple of players and said that they should pick Dexter up, okay? I actually did this. One of those players was Automatic. And back at the time, there was a rumor that Dexter had a child, right? The whole joke was Dexter has a kid, so you can't leave Australia and join a team. And this is while the North American scene was falling apart, right? Everything was going wrong for North America. And Gen G were looking for a new IGL. I messaged Automatic. I said, pick up Dexter. And he said, I thought about it, but he won't come to America because he has a kid. And I was like, oh, shit. He actually has a kid. That sucks. He can't come. Only to find out that that wasn't even true. That wasn't even the case. He doesn't have a kid. He was always free. And then I asked him, and he said that that meme actually did stop people from messaging him. This meme about Dexter having a kid in Australia not being able to leave actually stopped him from getting onto teams. And hey, maybe it's for the best that he didn't join the late Gen G, you know? He got onto Mouse Sports, a stronger North European team. And this team, I think, is very good for his career. Now, this isn't a demo about Dexter, but I think that it's relevant towards Rops' results because out of 2020, Rops is playing with Kerrigan. If you guys are really new, Rops is playing with Kerrigan. Kerrigan played on Mouse Sports, and he left the team because the results weren't going the way he wanted to, and he got the call up to go back to FaZe, a second chance to go to FaZe. So Kerrigan took that and left Rops, and Rops was really unhappy about it. And then in his stead comes along Dexter, and when I looked at this team on paper, Acor had him given a chance to play Tier 1. BMAS was playing on FaZe before, but was treated really badly. I asked him about this, and he said if he were to join FaZe again, he would have taken more space for himself. He would have been more selfish, you know. And he really blossomed under Kerrigan and on Mouse Sports, and he is getting better and better incrementally. He's the poster child for what you should be if you're an entry fragger, right? That's kind of the idea with him. And then you have Frozen, who's a nice middle-of-the-pack rifler. He's actually the biggest snub, I would say, from my list this year. I really wanted to have Frozen on here. But again, partly, you know, Frozen is an amazing player. And I think, honestly, you know, it's just that the Mel's results were just, again, the only result they had, the single deep run of this year was winning Flashpoint, and that was an online tournament. And that was a very promising start for the whole team. But yeah, that much was a shame. But anyways, you know, really liked Frozen this year, despite the fact that they played limited maps and everything like that. Next year is going to be great for both Frozen and Robs. I will say that much. But actually, it might be tougher for Frozen, right? Because there is the rumor now that FaZe are closing in on the deal to grab Robs. And if that happens, FaZe are a tournament-winning team, and they should be held to that standard, and they probably will do. I think FaZe will be top 5 consistently throughout the year if they get Robs. I don't see why they wouldn't. He's just such a strong player. The roles make sense right out the gate. He's played with Kerrigan in the past. But yeah, I had high hopes for Dexter as an IGL coming into Europe as a Australian player. And the reason that I did was because when I watched Dexter's demos in Australia, I was like, this guy is just a really good player. So I looked at him. He was cleaning up, okay, in Australia, and then came over. And then they came out, one Flashpoint. I was like, Dexter stocks are through the roof. He's looking good. I think he was, yeah, so much promise there. And as a team, definitely there just needs to be more experience. He's proven not to be that great of an IGL. It is hard to fill the shoes of someone like Kerrigan after he just left the team. I do personally think that Kerrigan needs to improve. Like, I think he needs to deepen the playbook for FaZe. When they played a lot of their LAN matches, I was kind of disappointed to see some of the calls that were being made with FaZe Clan. It seemed like they leaned so hard into being like scrimmy and overly aggressive and stuff that they would throw away tons of rounds. So I personally think that if Robs comes onto the team, Kerrigan still needs to actually step up with some stuff. Look at this little information collector. Oh my god. The way he holds that ankle. It like doesn't continue walking up. The way that Robs eliminates people, it's always a headshot, first of all, and they get melted down like a popsicle on the sidewalk in the middle of summer every single time. Instant. Like an Arizona sidewalk. Just they get melted down like a cheese string in the microwave. Right? Robs' aim is so... It's delicious. If it would have a flavor, well, that would be umami, okay? It would have that meaty, savory mixture. I guess you can't say savory and umami. It would have a nice... It'd be a full flavored bite. Right? Umami, though. It'd be umami for sure. Okay. Shut up. Good. That worked. That usually doesn't work. Mostly because they can't hear me. Robs is waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. I was looking at some stuff this year, and I mean, again, nothing was his fault in some sense. I mean, he's super solid. Maybe the weirdest player on this list because he's a top 5 quality player, right? People were trying to compare him to Nico last year. I mean, he just doesn't have the versatility or like years at that level, in my opinion, to stand to Nico. Doesn't mean that it won't happen for him yet. He's got Rob started playing in like 2017, total fucking prodigy, won FPL for the first time, and when he won FPL, I actually made a video about him while I was at Yahoo Esports. And I made a video about Robs, how he won FPL, and every single pro player was just like, this guy cheats. JW was like trying to call for his head. They wanted to kick him from FTL because he wasn't playing on a full team. His mechanics were unbelievable. His awareness was even more incredible than his mechanics. And this is a guy who, in the pantheon of great Counter-Strike players, Robs will always be brought up, and for good reason. This is what I expect to be his lowest on the year. I don't know at HLTV where they're going to put him. In my opinion, I don't care where they put him. This is where I have him just because of what we were able to prove, despite him being good and everything like that. And it's a shame, but I think the team just really dragged a couple of amazing players down this year. I think Acor, unfortunately, not the quality opera that I thought he was, even though his mechanics are amazing. And yeah, the story of this team is they have 5 players and they had the perfect composition, in my opinion. They don't quite have the versatility between the players, I guess. Maybe that's maybe I'm just coping, or maybe I'm looking for some kind of out. But they have Dexter, an aggressive IGL with a lot of good tactics. Kind of for me, kind of like Alexi B, Alex, some of these, like not a fully like a super well-rounded IGL that has everything, because there's only like 3 or 4 of those, but a solid one that's also a good player. So I think he can do a lot for the team. Is kind of, you know, in a good place. I'd say the best version of Dexter would be like Nafany or something like that. Like that's the guy he's trying to aspire to be. Keep the individual level up, maybe drag it, make consistency up a bit more, and then just also, you know, be running one of the best units in the game. It's a hard job, but yeah, when you got players this good, you gotta be able to call a good game for him. And then you got BMass, who, you know, he's not awareness king #1, right? He's the kid who's got unbelievable mechanics, purely super selfless, seems like a great kid, like energy wise, and then you just send him out and he gets kills on T side, opens things up, you know, multi-kill, Mr. Masuda, that kind of thing. And then Frozen, who for me, he's like best, smartest player in all of his spots, and can't be defined by just like slow or fast. Frozen is it's such a talented, also, you know, a mega prodigy. He was a guy that on the subreddit when he was like 13 years old, people were posting about him. You can go ahead and look at those for yourself, but way back in the day, Frozen was one of the first players that people thought were going to flip into the tier 1. I mean, not everybody knew about him, but I think people who are playing the game 2014, 2016, we're seeing posts about this kid named Frozen. And at that point, there were so many older players that were still fine that you didn't really see as many breakout players like we do today. Now, a lot of the players that have been grinding for the last few years are coming in now into the tier 1 onto the big teams. You know, players like Bit and stuff like that are able to flip the tier 1 in 1 year. Like that was not a thing 3 or 4 years ago. And yeah, Frozen was one of the first. And in terms of brand, he's just been so quiet. He's not as popular as Robs. He's not really tweeting a lot. He's not really like, you know, interacting with people or making content or whatever. He's just been kind of quiet in the background. So the enthusiasts know that Frozen is a sick, like, nuts player in all of his positions and everything like that. Great player to learn from, very talented. But he's the most versatile player on the team, I would say. And Robs has this year tried to... Oof. Every time I watch him, Malta's just like putting him to bed. Robs is a player who this year I would say he definitely evolved. He put up more opening kills and tried to be not just a lurker and all this stuff, and was a bit more aggressive. Still just a bonkers CT side player to have, somebody who barely ever loses duels. I think his opening kill attempt rate on T sides was like 19%, which was not the lowest at all. And he had like a 56% success rate, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he you know, he's careful with his duels. And I think that from talking to Robs, the way that he's defined his playstyle is he's the kind of player, if he has an advantage, he doesn't let it go. And that's a very scary mentality to see when you're talking to somebody, because he's somebody who believes that if he thinks through a situation properly, he will be the better player, and then from that perspective, he will win. And that is something that is not a lot of players believe in themselves in that way, you know, that believe that they're smart enough to be able to do that. Counter-Strike allows for you to take a dummy risk and just win anyways. There's a lot of... it's when I watch Robs play, I always use this example, but he's squeezing the concentration ball, and he has the strength to be able to hold this concentration ball for the entirety of a round. Not only that, but process, you know, what to think, how careful to be, all the ideas, all the things that might be used against him, and always could fully focus on his crosshair. And I don't think there's another player in the world who has this level of concentration. When I watch him play, that's how I feel. So, you know, he's kind of just this teeming ball of energy, like a very dense star, right? Okay? He's not as flashy, and he's not flaring up at like some of the major, you know, super giants out there, but he's super dense, and he's like a black hole. Okay, he's got his gravitational force is immense, but it goes a little under the radar, and it's just that someone comes into the event horizon, they disappear. That's it. They're just gone. Nothing can beat him, not even light. Okay, so if you come into his screen and you do it incorrectly, he'll win. That's the draw of Robs. He's too powerful. The only thing that can stop him, yeah, is the fact that if you avoid him, like, okay, he might, he's not going to chase you down like a dog in the streets, right? But I think I'd say the very coolest part about all that, when it characterized Rops like this, is that, you know, despite him improving his opening kills and stuff, I want to make sure that we're fair about the fact that he's expanding, showing his depth, really. His movement is unreal. He told me that people used to accuse him of cheating in 1.6, and he set some kind of long jump record in 1.6, which someone clarified that it wasn't like an official something long jump record. He set some kind of unofficial long jump record in 1.6. Any kind of list like that is insane. I mean, the level of competitiveness in KZ in 1.6 was ridiculous. I mean, the KZ was way harder in 1.6 in the first place. The tech, there's way more tech options. Some of the maps are so ridiculous that, like, well, they've gotten there too in CS:GO. I will say, you know, some of the maps, some players who are extremely talented cannot even finish them. But 1.6 was like that when CS:GO came out already. But yeah, Rops putting together an LJ record, it's just, it's crazy. And LJ is long jump, by the way. I don't know. Some people might not know. When you jump and you see people wiggle, that's long jumping. I used to be a movement CS:GO YouTuber. I know there's a lot of people who are very new. I know there is a lot of people who are very new. Based on all the people I talk to and stuff like that, the game is really big right now, which is kind of cool. But it's quietly done that, and there's a lot of fresh faces. So I don't want to be shy about going over things for the first time again. I want to try to be very inclusive in that regard, because I think the worst thing that we can do in year 8 of CS:GO is to forget about the fact that people haven't been playing since 2013. So I want to go back over stuff I did before and not be shy about that, and be very kind of like, yeah, I want to talk about concepts that might be, that most people already understand, just because I think it's going to be valuable for the game as a whole. The point of this channel is to grow Counter-Strike. The point of this channel is to make Counter-Strike bigger, wider reaching, more fun for people who watch, allow you to get more out of your viewing experience, the esport. That's the whole point of this channel. So I don't want to lose sight of that. That's going to be the prerogative. That's going to be the prerogative forever. So yeah. But yeah, movement god, and he doesn't use it. Like, he doesn't use his movement because he thinks, like, the way he plays Counter-Strike, it's perfect in terms of priorities. Positioning, I just said this in the NAF video, but positioning is the most important part of the game. All these other things like movement and every little thing about details and stuff, they're all tertiary. They all matter, but they're stuff that matter after the fact. Okay, movement is the most important part of the game. Objectives are the most important part of the game, and then movement, and then positioning is the most important part of the game. And then after that, aim, and then after that, your crosshair play, everything else that's also really important. Of course, all these things are important. But what I'm trying to say, oh my god. Look how sharp these peaks are. He makes his opponents look like they're moving slowly. That's the weird part about Rops. Like, he'll just peek, and his peak will be just wide enough that he looks like a flash on their screen, but for him, he's just not wasting any space whatsoever. I think that's the very scariest part about this kid. But yeah, you know, with good positioning and seeing through the interference when it comes to utility and rotations and all that stuff that comes along with it, that all feeds into positioning in some way, right? So under the branch, under the top, right, under the row of positioning, there are all these little things that come with it that we talk about all the time. They all feed back into this greater concept. So I want to both over-reduce this characterization of the things that make you good at CS:GO to positioning is the most important thing, but it's of course made up of all these other concepts that aren't exactly complicated concepts, but are deep. They are deep, right, after years of the game being out, and like every little thing that leads into it. And a lot of the times when we see the top players and stuff, there's things that are happening throughout the round that are resulting in them being in a position where that kill looks easy as hell. And part of watching these demos and stuff like that, it's figuring out how he got there, right? Not when the highlight started. Is basically it's thinking about all the things that happen along the way. The journey to the good position, really. But yeah. Aim is also key, and believing yourself is also key. Holding angles like this and knowing a fight is coming is also key. You can't just tuck and hold the tightest angle ever and just wait. Sometimes you want to take off angles like this, little offies. Sometimes you want to stay active. There, he was just basically both sides of the box that could be peeked from. He was just holding that. It's pretty solid so far. I think the shining stat for Rops is also his DPR. And I think that most of the other players who beat him in DPR are oppers, but Rops is not. RAWPZ is not an opper. He's somebody who we've seen op before, but I think this year, Rob's got an op ace and I was casting, and I was so shocked. I think Chris J was playing or something in this game, and I said, "Holy, what a shot from Chris J!" And then it's Rops, and then he gets 4 more kills, and I'm like, "God damn it!" I just called him Chris J, but I think it made the clip funnier because I was so shocked at the way that he was opping.
We need to also make sure we don't get opped. Oh my God. This play from Chris, it turns to 2. Oh, sorry, Rops and Papa Man. He's knocking him down like bowling pins. He gets 4. Is he on for the ace? He is. Naf will tuck tail and run. He's back to spawn. Rops, will he find this? Oh, he locks it up. Rops.
But when Rops can definitely pick up the op, he will, once in a while, he'll grab it, and he's really good with it too. So not the guy you would think would be good with an op, but he is super solid about it. So this is something to watch, and just how he plays in this spot. Look at all of his look at how he handles his crosshair placement all the time, just in case he gets snuck up on there somehow. He's holding for a ghost of an enemy. Now there's no chance for him to win in this. As will take him out. Most of the success here is towards the A site for Renegades. Anytime it's been a B play, Rops has been there to stop him. Rops is definitely one of those players who has a fear aura about him. You know he's holding a sight, you're terrified, because you know he's not making a mistake, you know he's very careful. I wonder if he does this in most of his games, or if it's just this one. Now, he's holding for the boosts, okay? In approaching the B stairs, it's not just about running up the stairs. It's about throwing the one-way, jumping behind the wood wall, trying to threaten, make this choke point feel as wide as possible. So coming up on these boosts on the outside, and what Rops is holding for. And this is, quite a nice way to do it, actually. I really want to see this work, where someone walks up like that. Now, I don't know if it's... Oh, wow. We just mauled him. That's malted gone. Quick little tactic. It's interesting. Okay. I don't know, if somebody does... If someone boosts on that wood wall, if you will definitely see a head or not. I guess you would have to, because even if you're looking down, since you can't double jump up onto it, you have, which is like a little trick so that you don't show your head. I guess you have to show your head. I'm not sure. I feel like you don't. So I was just wondering why he's not worried about it, basically, on the wood wall. Admittedly, that's something I don't know. I should ask someone. I'm actually not sure. But yeah. Let's see if they can win this retake. B-Mass. That's unlucky. They don't have much time. Uh-oh. Jumped. No way they won that. Wow. They're just patient. You know what they say? Patience is the enemy of Australia. One of my favorite quotes. This they guy continues to be so smart. So smart. What an annoying nade that would be if you were standing there, huh? The farther away he stands, the more of an advantage he has. On native, with the crosshair this small, and when he's sitting like this to his monitor like he always is, you don't have a chance when he goes to quad. I like that we've seen him play here kind of rarely. I don't know if that was supporting flash from his teammate, but I assume it was. Just didn't see it. Trying to be very careful. He is a smoke, so if they molly him, he can smoke it. He can also sit in it, just peek. Sometimes it's better than just smoking it because you're just going to die. You're going to spam down. But sometimes it's good because it's so hard to spam and you're so far away from the action to smoke it, sit in it, and just literally delay. That can sometimes be the greatest gift you can give to your team. The most gracious thing you can do. That's the first nade I've ever seen Rops miss right there. World's first. Oh, they didn't plant yet. Okay, Sicko will take him down. That's a Ropsy demo, a B anchoring demo. Actually learned a lot there from that demo, just about how he was playing it. I'm going to try to do that. Hold the angles like he does and go over things. Rops, he is... this year is a wash for me. I completely, stand by my placement of where he is this year. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change my opinion about Rops. I think this year he was held back quite drastically by his team. It's a couple of damning smaller stats, like versus tier 1, he fell off a little bit. They just didn't play enough land matches, no deep runs. There's like a lot of not many great opponents overall compared to some other players and stuff like that. But we know he's good. I mean, I'm going to chalk it up to his team, and I think he's also evolving right before our eyes. So I'm really looking forward to this Rops phase story. I think this is actually the dark cloud in his career, even though it's still a top 15 performance. But Rops is an elite superstar level player, and I think he's going to prove that. I know that's where I stand basically. So yeah, he's the kid. We'll be talking about him for the rest of the history of the game, I'm sure of it. But this one, we'll have to walk this year off, I think. All right, hope you enjoyed that, and as always, be safe.